Monday, the Sun squares Neptune. This is an opening square from the conjunction, the Sun-Neptune conjunction that was on March 19th. With the Sun contacting Neptune, especially the conjunction, you can see into and through layers of your own being or of reality, Maya. With the square, and so there's spiritual stuff, but there's also themes of compassion and themes of deception. So with the Sun squaring Neptune now, there might be some sort of, and we just had Jupiter squaring Neptune. There's this pileup in like the part of life that's really good right now, making sure, keeping an eye on the Aries part of your life and ensuring you're not delusional about whatever that is. Or another version of that could be being taken advantage of. Monday, the last half of Monday is primarily focused on the Sun conjoining Jupiter, which happens on Tuesday technically, but you'll feel it. Jupiter is combust. You might feel the closing down of that cycle on Monday. And the Sun-Jupiter cycle is, all the synodic cycles, which is a planet cycle with the Sun, of the planets past Mars, are roughly a 1-year occurrence. And it's like a tide. And since Jupiter is in Cancer right now, that could very much be characterized as a wave. So the last Jupiter-Saturn conjunction was May 18th. The last Sun-Jupiter conjunction was May 18th, 2024, and that was in Gemini. And then there was a pulling back when Jupiter stationed retrograde, and that was early October through early February. So early October 2024 through early February 2025. So that's everything pulling back, and then another big Jupiter wave. So did you get clobbered, or did you surf that amazing wave? Now Jupiter is combust, and as I'm recording this, Jupiter is combust. On Monday, the conjunction will happen, and then Jupiter will slowly move out of combustion, and we'll begin a new cycle of whatever that is for the Jupiter part of your life. Anyway, you can see in the Jupiter-ruled parts of your life, maybe a cycle is coming to a close, and that's going to be punctuated further by the dark moon in Cancer, which is coming up on Wednesday. So if you don't know what cycle in terms of the Jupiter parts of your life is coming to a close, and what parts of your life are going to now have a time of like new beginnings, at night the moon moves into Cancer, so you'll be shown whatever that is, whatever's coming to a close and reopening, like having a new beginning in the Jupiter parts of your life. You'll be shown on Tuesday night, or starting Tuesday night. And also Tuesday night, the moon squares Saturn in Aries. So Saturn is a little worse, a little more challenging at night. And I just need to lean right now. So now that Saturn is in Aries, when the moon is squaring Saturn, that's going to be a little more rough than moon squaring Saturn over the past 3 years, or even over the past 7 years, because Saturn has been dignified and then went into Pisces, where it doesn't have any particular dignity or lack of dignity. So now Saturn is thoroughly undignified. So any hard aspects of the moon with Saturn are going to be times where you can expect a challenge. Also, the moon squares Neptune at night on Tuesday. So we're getting Saturn, Neptune in Aries is the more mandatory metaverse. It's the real ID. It's many other things, and many delusional, heavy-handed ways of dealing with things. So Tuesday night brings attention to the unfair parts of the world, or the romanticized, incredibly dangerous war parts of the world. And Tuesday night is also technically the dark moon in Cancer. So the moon goes through a rough patch on Tuesday night, and then in the wee hours it conjoins Jupiter. So, and this is Pacific time. So it'll be like if you wake up really early in the morning on Wednesday, you can catch the moon conjunct Jupiter. Excuse me. I'm recording past my bedtime again. So Tuesday night is technically the dark moon in Cancer, even though it's technically Wednesday in North America. And this dark moon is simple, appears simple and special. I guess it's not that simple, because it is like it's highlighting. There are parts of it that will feel simple amidst greater, like larger framed complications and difficulties and lacks of clarity. So it's a good opportunity to find a way to get maybe some very indulgent rest despite what must be done. And it is a dark moon, but it does have a little bit of fuel, a little bit of or like motor oil, like maybe it's like lubricated properly so that it can, like the engine can idle, because the moon is also sextile Mars. So this dark moon in Cancer is configured by conjunction to Jupiter and sextile to Mars in Virgo with the South Node. So it's not like take this and run with it. It's you have a little gas to get out of the gate once the cycle completes and renews again. And with dark moons, we can think about how destruction brings renewal and cycles of time. So nothing is ever just a dead end. Everything renews, and that's something that the moon teaches us. And if you haven't read Demetra George, Mysteries of the Dark Moon, I highly recommend it. I've been enjoying that recently, and especially if you're a woman, because there are many resources to learn the things about being a woman that were not like valued or promoted in the culture in which we grew up. There are many resources for like many different things, but this is like an essential one, in my opinion. I hadn't read it before, and it was eye-opening even for me, and I'm down the I'm a woman rabbit hole. So I can't believe I had never read it, and it would have done me some good if I had read it earlier, I feel like. So go read it if you are a woman. And we have full moons and dark moons every month, every fortnight. The energy rises and then falls again to the full moon, to the dark moon. But we also can work with lunations in 6-month cycles where we look back at, this is the dark moon in Cancer, so we can look back at the full moon in Cancer, the most recent full moon in Cancer, which was January 13th, 2025, and that was a pretty harrowing time with Mars retrograde in Cancer. So now all of that, maybe like the cleanup, has come to a close, and we can start again building back up to whatever the culmination January 3rd, 2026 brings. So thinking about the Cancer part of your life, the house in your chart that coincides with the sign of Cancer, what's ending, what's beginning. It's like the moon and Jupiter, for us to enjoy Jupiter in Cancer, there's like stuff that needs to be cleaned up first. And that's where we're at right now. And speaking of that, we have the sun, the closing sextile of the sun with Mars. So we're looking at some marker milestones for many different cyclical planetary relationships. I guess that's what we're always doing with astrology, but these are the synodic cycles. Even like the full moon and dark moon cycle is the synodic cycle. It's about the moon's relationship with the sun. So Mercury is busy this week. And the thing I was going to say is we have the Sun-Mars sextile. That's the closing sextile of the sun with Mars. The next major aspect will be the conjunction, the Mars Cazimi in Capricorn on January 15th. Sorry, January 9th, 2026. 2026. And that is a really interesting Mars Cazimi. That's also Venus in Capricorn at the same degree as the Sun and Mars. And when that happens, the moon will be in Libra, so ruled by Venus. Very interesting. Something to look out for. Something we're closing down something now, and something that begins. It takes a lot of parts of your life with it. This coming January. So I was saying that Mercury, and the other thing I wanted to say about the sun is sextiling Mars. So the sun is in Cancer, sextile Mars in Virgo. And then we're winding down now for the conjunction, the Cazimi. So a Mars cycle coming to a close. Those are roughly 2 years. So the peak, like full moon time, which is funny, not funny to say for this past Mars Sun opposition, because Mars was in Cancer, which is the sign of the moon, and Mars has fallen. That was on January 19th, 2025. So of this past year. Again, we're pointing back to that harrowing time. There are like 2 markers for it. When you start to get multiple suggestions pointing at something in astrology, that's a time to pay attention. So we're looking back at like mid-January and the sheer brutality of mid-January, and I guess reckoning with it, or looking at here's how we've cleaned up the mess. And so like I said, Mercury is busy this week. We had the Mercury Uranus sextile, and that's actually on Wednesday. That's like, it happens in the middle of the night Pacific time. So Wednesday could be characterized by this like separate little surprise. And in the middle of the day on Thursday, Mercury enters Leo. And this is important because Mercury is going to be in Leo for a long time. I believe until it doesn't move into Virgo until September 1st. So we're like closing down some cycles and starting new ones, and we're entering a new Mercury gauntlet. If you're wondering why it feels like we just finished a Mercury retrograde, if you're new to astrology, then they happen 3 times a year. And the last Mercury retrograde was particularly chaotic. It was during a really chaotic time, and Mercury was in very bad condition. So this is not Mercury in as terrible condition at all. Mercury in Leo does a fine job. There's no particular dignity, but it's nice. And like, it's not like in domicile, and it's not in detriment or fall. So, and it's Mercury working for the sun. So we'll see some shifts in tone now through September with Mercury stuff, the Mercury parts of your life, when the sun changes signs. So when the sun is in Cancer now, just entered Cancer. When the sun enters Leo, that's going to be a notable shift in tone with the Mercury parts of your life. And then when the sun moves into Virgo, we'll see a little shift. And that's when we're like moving towards closure of this like whole Mercury and Leo story that's coming up. But it starts on Thursday, and Mercury will station on July 17th. And Mercury enters shadow on Sunday. So I can't believe it feels like it was like 1 second ago that Mercury was retrograde. I feel like just stationed direct. So that's coming in fast, coming in hot. And the moon is going to sextile Uranus from Cancer and then dip into Leo. So we're going to immediately get some sort of attention around that story. And the moon also immediately conjoins Mercury and Leo, obviously, on Thursday. So we'll get like, this is where we lay our scene. Very good for Mercury or like Leo themes. Friday feels easy, even though it's like maybe Friday goes smoothly, even within a complicated terrain. We have trines with the difficult things in life. So the moon is trining Saturn in Aries, trining Neptune in Aries, and Mercury is trining Saturn in Aries. So we're getting like some easy, like stuff is flowing, energy is flowing through to those things going on in the sign of Aries, the difficulties. And the moon opposes Pluto also. All of this is really technically kind of coming down the pipeline on Thursday too. So my marker's still on Thursday. But we have all of that, like we have those trines with the Aries outer planets and the moon's opposition with Pluto. Again, port that over to Thursday, like end of day, Thursday, things coming into view. You might wake up, maybe you just like wake up to something that's a little more messy on Friday. And the rest of Friday is just Mercury applying to the trine with Saturn. So there's something like, the moon is coming through and activating this. It's like you're walking through not a forest, a movie set or something, if it's Leo. And, or you're like walking through violent crowds or with the moon opposing Pluto. But with Mercury trining Saturn, you're getting more of like you're seeing something going on in the map. Like cones are being moved and things are, sorry, I don't have the setup here really locked in. Like the path is being directed in a certain way so that things will be a certain way later. Like it's a way of structuring reality. And that's like Mercury's wayfinding under the management of Saturn in Aries, which is like to lay out challenging gauntlets. And so then obviously Saturn and Neptune are very together right now in Aries, and Mercury trines Neptune in Aries early Saturday morning. So that'll come more into view Friday night. And so Saturday is just the moon applying to a square with Venus in Taurus. So it's a square, so it's like a little hard one, but it's an aspect with Venus in Taurus. So that seems nice. We could all use something nice after having to give our attention to those Aries planets, which is going to happen. Take advantage of like the way things are nice now, because Venus will be moving into Gemini, and it'll be a little different than it is now, where Venus is dignified and functioning very optimally. And also on Saturday, Mercury is opposing Pluto. So Mercury is busy and like gearing up to like roll up his sleeves and F shit up. So Mercury opposite Pluto, there's a whistleblowing component to that for sure. And very like someone like making a proclamation to like the crowds. And the moon squares Uranus also right after that. So Saturday night might have like a surprising component. It's like a little grating. It's not like, I mean, it kind of is, I guess, because they're like on Friday you have trines with difficult stuff, and this is you have a square with something nice, and then you have harsh aspects with difficult stuff. So maybe like, can you even prepare? Do you have a prep day this week? I don't really know if you do, unless it's the dark moon, but that would be, your prep would be to rest. So you might just have to like, you don't have to do anything. Everything, you can change the energy of anything in a moment if you have the awareness. And having the awareness is the hardest part. But if you cultivate that, and I'm saying this for myself, I'm like snuggling with a panel light to get mood lighting. Oh, I finally got it to like really hit, and I'm almost done with the forecast. Man, I wish I had held it like this the whole time. So on Sunday, the moon enters Virgo. So you'll wake up on Sunday and the moon will be in Virgo, and it'll be different, like a different tone. And this, so now, so there's a lot of like kind of hype and energy while the moon was in Leo the past few days. And now the energy, there's going to be energy because it's the moon with Mars in Virgo. But it's not sustainable, and it's like maybe like some blowouts that like drain the batteries out of everything. So just be gentle. You know, easier said than done sometimes, having the awareness in the moment. But it's complicated. Sunday is complicated. The moon sextiles Jupiter, and the moon conjoins Mars. So we don't like Moon-Mars conjunction, but we do like the moon contacting Jupiter in Cancer, which is one of the most beneficial astrological signatures you can have. Excuse me. And so Sunday concludes with Mercury entering shadow at 10 p.m. So you'll wake up Monday to like a new situation. And the moon is headed for a trine with Venus on next Monday morning. So this lighting. So Sunday night, after we get past the conjunction with Mars, if you're up late, even though Mercury is headed into shadow, you might like, there's like some pleasant, it's pleasant late at night on Sunday. And remember to take very, very good care of each other.